Hi everyone, welcome to this tutorial where we'll be exploring Tableau, one of the widely used enterprise software for data visualization. This tutorial is split into three sections. Section 1, where we install Tableau and build basic charts. Section 2, where we combine multiple data sources and try to build slightly advanced charts. And Section 3, where we build a dynamic dashboard using the charts built in the previous sections. Let's jump on to Section 1. So as you see here, Tableau has a suite of products ranging from Tableau Prep, which is an ETL tool for data engineering, Tableau Desktop, a development tool for building interactive dashboards, Tableau Server, a hosting platform to host large, reliable real-time dashboards. For our discussion today, we will focus on Tableau Public, which is a free version and has most of the features that are available in Tableau Desktop. In order to download Tableau Public, we have to open public.tableau.com and enter the email address to download the app. So once you download and install the app, this is how it looks when we open a Tableau Public. On the left, we have the connection options ranging from the basic flat files like Microsoft Excel, text, JSON to advanced connections like connecting directly to a server or a database. For our tutorial, we'll focus on connecting to a CSV file, which has the different contents that are available in the Netflix platform. So once a connection is established, on the right, we can see the different fields that are loaded to the data source and the sample of data which is available. Immediately, once a connection is established, Tableau prompts us to go to a worksheet. So before jumping into a worksheet, let's see what are the options available. So we have worksheet, which is basically a work area where we can build individual charts. And there is an option called dashboard. Dashboard is nothing but a group of worksheets where we can have multiple charts in a single work area. And finally, we have story, which is nothing but a aggregate of dashboards. Let's jump onto worksheet and create a basic chart. So once we land in the worksheet, on the left, we see data and the different fields that are available in the data table. Tableau has automatically divided the fields into two categories and color coded them with blue and green. The blue color coded fields are called dimensions, and dimensions are nothing but the categorical variables in the table, like description, cast, genre. These fields are dimensions. The green fields are called measures, are nothing but the numerical values, something like the score, the release date. Sometimes the dimension and measures are mismapped, and we may have to manually ensure that the appropriate fields are positioned in their respective categories. On the right, we see the various charts that are available to plot. Right now, they are on gray because we have not loaded the data into the work area. If I hover to the horizontal bar chart, it shows that it shows a basic requirement to build a chart. It doesn't require any dimension, but definitely a measure in order to build a bar chart. Let's try to build a simple bar chart which gives the distribution of content in Netflix platform based on rating. So in order to build the charts, we have to drag and drop the dimension or measure into the column or row work area. So I have pulled the rating and dropped it in column area. And here we have a new measure called Netflix shows.csv count. This is an auto-populated measure which Tableau generates while loading, and this gives the total number of records in the given table. So the moment we add, we see that a vertical bar chart has been populated. Let's focus on a few icons which are available in the toolbar. So the first icon shows swap rows and columns. So this helps to convert a vertical bar chart to a horizontal bar chart and vice versa. And then we have sorting of these charts. So it can be sorted from ascending to descending. The more dimensions and variables we add to the column and rows, the chart gets bifurcated. So if I add content type, Now we can see that there are two contents, movie and TV show. So the graph gets divided into two halves where the rating for individually has been populated for movies and TV shows respectively. If I move it to the rows, I have the same bifurcation but in the row wise where I have a rating as a column, and then the first row indicates movies rating and then the second one indicates TV shows. Now this basic chart doesn't have any labels. So now we move on to a section called marks, which is helpful for adding labels, colors, and different other options to the given chart. Now, as we have populated count in the y-axis, we are using the same measure as a label. So the moment we drag and drop the count under label, we can see that the label gets populated in the chart. So let's name this worksheet as content rating bar. Let's move on to create another chart. So I'm trying to create content type and again populate the count. So this gives a bar chart. But to understand what are the options available, we can still go to show me, and we see pie chart is one of the good indicators of having this distribution. So if we select pie chart, I see a very small chart being populated. So let's see the option available in toolbox again. So this is one of the options called fit, and right now this chart is under standard fit. There are multiple other options like fit width, which is like fitting the chart to the width of the work area, and fit height will basically fit it in the uh, median height, whereas it's always advisable to have it in the entire area so that the chart gets populated to the entire work area. Now we see that the pie chart has been populated, and the blue indicates movies and the orange indicates TV shows. Let's try to populate the labels like how we did earlier. So now we have the labels being populated. We'll also add content type as one of other label. So yeah. So now we can see TV shows 2100 and movies 3867. Generally pie charts have percentage as their label. So let's see how we can create percentage. In order to create percentage, we must add a calculation to this particular field. So this particular field is a label which is denoted by this green bar. By right clicking on it, we can add a quick table calculation. So under table calculation, if we select percentage, it gives a percentage of total. So out of total, 35% is TV shows and 65 is movies. Let's name it as content type pie. Now let's try to have a trend or a time series chart. So we have something called the year added, the year at which the specific content, be it TV show or movie, gets added to Netflix platform. So we have added year to the column, and let's see the count. Okay. So now we have a basic line chart, and what we see is the content have been maximum during 2020, and there is a gradual drop in 2021. And let's see if since we have not populated any of division, it shows for the entirety of the table. Let's see if we can split it by TV shows and movies. So as I said earlier, marks is basically a powerful tool in order to have very powerful visualization. Like if I use a specific dimension or a measure under color, it basically changes the graph into those sections. So now the graph is split into movie and TV shows based on the color. If I move it to size, then it specifies based on the different size. Movie is a thin line and TV show is a broader line. Similarly, if I go for a label, then it directly gives a label. Let's keep it in color, and we see that there is a huge drop with respect to content addition in movies than in TV show. But how do we quantify this? So in order to quantify, let's again first label these numbers. So these numbers which are labeled, we see that there is equal content between 2018 and 19, 703 and 730. But to better understand or visualize this graph, we may have to see what is a percentage difference between successive years. So in order to do that calculation, we always use the same kind of right clicking a particular variable. We can see table calculation. Earlier we used percentage of total for having the percentages in pie chart. Now we will have percentage difference, which will give the difference between successive years. So we can see from 2019 to 2020, the rise was 47.7%, whereas the drop is 31.2% from 2020 to 2021. So here we can clearly say that the difference between the TV shows and movies with respect to the drop is highly significant. Let's let's name this chart as content addition line. So let's create another chart to better understand the distribution of contents with respect to the production country. So one thing which we haven't noted is the ABC or the indication which is available in these tables. So every field has a particular icon, and this icon denotes whether that particular data is a string or a numeric or the different data types that are available. So ABC denotes string, and if we see here duration number, this denotes number which is whole. And finally, for production country, we see that it is a geographic role with country or region. Let's try to populate the different countries. So I'm directly pulling this production country and loading it in detail. So here we can see as soon as it is loaded to the detail, we see columns and rows populated with longitude and latitude. The marks option has multiple other ways of handling the chart. Right now, this is automatic, which means that automatically it has populated circles for each country. However, there are multiple options inside, and here there is an option called map, which will basically cover the entire area in the shapefile. So right now we have the different countries populated in our map based on the data set which we have. Let's try to understand what is the duration of the content that are available with respect to different countries. So in order to understand that, the best way to handle is having a color coding. So we are using duration number, which is basically the duration of the particular content, and moving it to color. Okay. So immediately when we pushed in, it shows different segments like 1, 2, 3, everything individually populated. This is because right now duration number is marked as a dimension. As I mentioned earlier, there are certain cases where the dimensions are wrongly mapped and we have to manually remap. So in order to remap duration, which is a measure, we can always right click and click convert to measure so that it gets converted to a measure. Now we will again pull duration number, which is measure, and now you can see it ranges from 1 to 11839 because by default when we pull the measure, it has taken sum as the duration number. So once we right click, there are multiple options that are available. Earlier we have used quick table calculations. Here we can also use what measure we have to use for that particular field. Right now, this measure uses sum, and for every individual country, the duration is summed up and the summed aggregate value is shown up here. Now if we change it to average, now we see that the range is from 1 to 150. 150 is nothing but roughly 2.5 hours. And what we see here is India has 119.5, which is the mean duration for the content. And in US, we see 59.2, and China, we see 51. So by this plot, on a basic understanding, we can figure out what is the duration of the content, the average duration of the content with respect to each individual country. But there is one caveat. Earlier, we see that there are two different types of contents. One is the TV show, and other is the movies. And TV shows, the duration varies between different TV shows. Hence, let's filter the content only to movies. So how do we filter those contents alone? So we use the section called filters here. We move the content type, and we basically select movies under content and then click OK. Now the data by which this chart is getting populated is filtered based on the content type, which is movies. So the TV shows have been excluded. So we have base as 24, the minimum as 24, and the maximum as 150. And now you can see in India, a typical movie duration is 127 minutes, and for Russia it's 109, and for US it's 88.9. Let's have this chart as content duration map. So in this, now we come to the end of this section where we have installed Tableau and built basic charts.